welcome back to Turn the Key podcast. My name is Cindy Plummer, and I'm joined by my amazing husband, Matthew Plummer. Today we're going to be talking about, what is this, Volume 3?
Yep, Issue 3 of Volume 1.
Of Volume 1, yes. So, as we always do, we're going to give our ratings beforehand, and then we'll jump into the full-on review. So this is for those who don't want to be spoiled. So, after this, be warned, we're going to just dive into all the spoiling. So, Matthew, what did you think of Issue 3?
I thought it was another slow one.
Slow, huh?
Well,
okay.
it was mostly a character-focused issue, so we're still kind of, making small movements in the story because you're still really focusing a lot more on the individual characters.
Well, for me, I loved it. No surprise there. I'm all about character pieces and character studies and getting to dig into the minds of these children, and this one was all about Kinsey.
Who was your favorite?
I love Kinsey. As we continue going on, you'll notice that Kinsey just fucking grows and starts from just this depressing part and just becomes this amazing human being. And yeah, to just start to read it from the beginning and how to see her from her low point and knowing that she's gonna get better. It's amazing. So I give this issue right off the bat a 4 out of 10. 4 out of 5.
Uh-huh. Well, it gets a 0 out of 5 for me because there's no wet holes in here.
Oh, okay. So 0 wet holes.
0 wet holes.
Oh, my God. Okay, so for all you people who don't want to be spoiled, get the heck out of here. We are about to start our spoilers.
Beginning on page 61... for everyone reading in the trades.
Alright, so we start off with a flashback scene of Kinsey on the roof holding Bud, and she talks about how they came to kill her and her little brother, and how they had to climb the ladder and just try to get out of sight and out of mind. And she talks about how her dad's been dead for a long time, and how they've moved on to a new town.
Yeah, this is mostly Kinsey and sort of what she's been doing in the meantime, adjusting to life at school and life, post moving and post losing her dad. So it goes into a lot of detail about her adjusting to school and also still remembering and having a lot of internal trauma. Just even sort of coming to grips with herself about what she's been through and experienced.
And then in the next page 62, you see she's talking about how it was simple being on the roof, how it was safe, how she only had to focus on just staying alive for another minute, just one more minute, just keeping out of sight, keeping quiet, how she held on to her brother so tight that later on the police officers found bruising around his neck because she just held him so tight, trying to keep him still and keep him quiet, and that she bit her lips so hard to keep from speaking that she drew blood and even scarred it. And this also comes we saw a little bit of this in issue 2 when Bodhi was running around as a ghost, and when he had visited Kinsey, he saw Kinsey remembering the past and remembering all about how they were on the roof. And you even see here how she bit her lip in the present, and how her lip had blood coming out of it, and that's kind of her comfort zone, just remembering how she was on that roof and how everything was simple and how she had bit her lip just to keep herself from making any noises.
As always, I have to draw everything to an adult theme here. All right, because
there are no wet holes.
No, I have one. I just discovered it.
Really? What's your wet hole?
Kinsey bleeding, a sign of her having lost her innocence.
Oh my gosh, Remy,
her growing up.
No.
Yes, a loss of innocence, a loss of a she is now an adult. Whether she gets to choose or not, she is not a innocent little girl anymore. Look, you can't tell me that you can't draw a line there. Why else would they intentionally draw that panel in black and white and leave the blood in color as it's going down her lips?
Dear viewers, if you can see me right now, my mouth has been gaping wide open at shock on what my co-host is talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're telling me it's that much of a stretch that's not a valid interpretation.
I'm telling you that I don't see it. None of what you're saying.
Okay, well,
maybe I'm not as advanced or as open as you are.
It's all right. I can make a tinfoil hat for you too, and then you'll see what I see.
Oh my goodness. Well, to finish off, page 62, she continues to talk about how she had to change, and how every time she catches a glimpse of her reflection, she doesn't even recognize the person that's staring back at her and even scares her. And if you turn back to page 61, you notice that she has her original outfit with the dreads and how she looked originally. But in page 62, you see how slowly she started shedding who she is. She got rid of her dreads, then her jeans, her t-shirts, her hat. She even said that
it's kind of doing the sort of montage thing that, I said in the previous one that seems to be a good sort of collaboration between Rodriguez and Joe Hill, where they'll kind of do like a lot of these montages where they'll do these repeated panels but change things ever so slightly to show like a change in place or time, and this is that used very well because you have Kinsey moving to different places and changing her outfits, and you have the narration following that to sort of bridge it.
One good thing to notice is that in this montage, as she's changing who she is, she keeps one item from her past, and that is the bracelet that she's wearing. That one golden bracelet she does not remove, and she does not switch out for anything else throughout the whole entire page.
Which we'll see that shortly. But if you'll now pay attention to the transition here, where she's talking about a reflection in the glass of the hardware store, we then cut to the next page where again we see another reflective surface, the mirror, which then I saw it as sort of a connection of Kinsey and Sam, and how both of them don't recognize each other in the mirror because Sam physically, his face had changed because of all the scarring and cuts, and Kinsey emotionally changed because of all the internal scars.
She is definitely scarred by the experience to the point where she doesn't even recognize this new changed version of her, to the point where it scares her, makes her jump every time she notices it through the mirrors. And then we move on to page 63, where we are at the juvenile detention center, where Sam begins his plan of escape.
Yeah, which which follows a short exchange between a guard and a IT specialist trying to fix something, and of course you have the old get too close to the cell door, and then he just
grabs the scissors, which he pulled apart. So they're essentially two knives, and then he uses it to stab the security guard in the eye and in the neck as the IT runs away. And then he grabs the key, holds onto the guard through the bars, grabs the swipe card and swipes his cell open. And then as he's getting out, he grabs also the gun from the security guard and aims it at the IT guy, and it's like bang. And then we move on to the next panel where Casey is doing track.
Yeah, which then we get to learn a little bit more about Kinsey, and that she's very her big thing, I guess, at school was track and field and running.
It's the one thing she says. She says that it's the one thing from her old life that she kept, which was running. That's the one thing that she has chosen to not change.
And then you also get this neat little sort of single panel on 66 where they focus on Kinsey in a single panel where she's sort of sweating and sort of looks nervous, and then you see her sort of pull back as they cross the finish line, and then we get a neat exchange there with her and one of the other runners there, as she sort of compliments her about how good she ran that day, and that she'd like to meet up and hang out with her to do some more running outside of class.
Unfortunately, in page 68, Kenzie completely rejects this young lady's offer to hang out, because if she, as she puts it, if she hangs out, that means they'll have to talk about her, and that means they'll have to talk about her past, and that is just 100% off limits. And then she talks about how her brother is dealing with the whole thing. How he's choosing to just work himself to the bone, doing household projects, putting bricks on the sidewalks. And then in the bottom panel of page 68, we see him making like a sidewalk type thing. But then you look down and you see that his brother is seeing the image of the guy that what's his name? Sam. Yeah, he's seeing Sam and how he beat him over with the brick as he's holding onto the brick and preparing to build the sidewalk. Yeah. So his brother is insanely traumatized.
Well, it's sort of a visual representation of the brother dealing with, and how he's sort of trying to do some kind of activity to work through his emotions. And then that's why I mentioned that previous panel with Kinsey looking nervous and scared while she was running, because that was her thinking about that day and her trying to work through it with her running. So
you think so, huh?
Well, it's just why zoom in on a panel just like that to see her having this sort of worried, scared look.
Honestly, I can't tell with this art style, because I don't know. It's just in the face. It doesn't showcase the feeling that you're saying it's showcasing. To me, it just looks like, oh, she's straining herself running.
Well, that's what I take out of it.
Understood.
But another neat thing, a little blink and you'll miss it moment right here. You see the book that Kinsey is reading right there? Here, let me zoom in for you, since I'm using a tablet.
What? I can't read it. What does it say? Baghdad?
Pride of Baghdad.
I don't know that.
Pride of Baghdad is a graphic novel comic that that was written by Brian K. Vaughan, the same man who did Saga. And what it's about is this event that happens in like Iraq or Iran, and there's some bombings or something, and some lions escape from a zoo there. Mm-hmm. And the story is about these lions sort of like surviving outside of the zoo pen that they were kept in, and you follow like, you know, all the different members of the family. And so you can look at that in two ways. One, Sam has broken out of his cage, much like the lions in the story. You know, and a lion is a predator, and Sam is a predator, mm-hmm. to go after them. Or you can look at it as the Locke family is the lions, and they were previously in their home in San Francisco, but because of this tragedy, they were forced out, and now we're following them and how they're surviving and adjusting to not being in their safety anymore. So
interesting.
Well, it's kind of a neat little inclusion there that you can draw some parallels to.
One thing I'd like to point out is that Kenzie speaks about how her brother is pertaining to the trauma and the ordeal that they went through. He's just sweating it out. He's working profusely, and that's how he's dealing with it. And she, from her point of view, she feels like he's dealing with it in a healthy way. And I'm sorry to break it to you, girl, but that is not healthy. He has not talked about it. He is blocking everyone out, and he's just not dealing with it in a healthy manner at all. Neither of them are, to be honest.
I don't know. They seem to be doing all right. I mean, look.
They're not doing all right.
Look at that. That's a nice sidewalk. That's a nice sidewalk they're putting together. You know, maybe if he'd have lost both his parents, he might have been done by now.
Also, I think I pointed this out previously as well, but you see how he's doing housework. It kind of like mirrors him when in volume issue 1, where his dad was asking him to help out with the housework, but he wasn't, and Kenzie was, and so now he's just taking it upon himself to do everything, while Kenzie is just like, you know, staying on the sidelines, just trying to keep to herself. So I thought that was an interesting little switch that they did.
Very nice. And then we now look into seeing more of what Bodhi is doing, and Bodhi has
still trying to convince Kenzie
that the ghost key actually does something, and we get a nice little sort of exchange of Bodhi like saying, "Here, check this out," and of course we're seeing it from Kenzie's perspective, where, you know, you can't see the ghost spirit when it leaves the body, and all it looks like is just a guy that just flumped over and is acting dead. Mm-hmm. And so again, yeah, Kenzie just thinks Bodhi's just faking it, mm-hmm. and just is leaving until Bodhi comes back and tells her, "Oh, Mom's got a guest."
He says, "Something's wrong. Something terrible happened. He's telling Mom about it now. The one whose name means born at night." And I like the little touch that Kenzie didn't just leave him to lie on the ground thinking that, oh, he's going to get up on his own. You know, she walks away for a second, but comes back, then walks away, but then comes back and just, you know, sits there with him and waits for him to wake up.
And then you also notice that Kenzie is pointing her hand out, meaning she's kind of thinking maybe Bodhi is experiencing something. She's
slowly coming on to maybe he's on to something.
And then, of course, we then see the mom with, I guess, the local detective or something, Detective Mutuku, which, you know, I had to look up. Yeah, that's from this tribe in Africa, the Bantu people, and oftentimes they will name their children after the events, circumstances on how they were born, and one popular name is Mutuku, which means born at night, meaning that he was probably literally born at night.
I'm wondering if this plays into anything in later issues. I doubt it. I don't remember him playing much of a, like, his name or him being African playing much of a role in the comic.
I don't know.
I don't remember either.
Sometimes,
that's neat though.
Well, that's also kind of like a Stephen King trope where Stephen King will sometimes, like, give characters like very particular kind of names or very particular kind of quirks about them, and then it kind of just maybe doesn't always go somewhere.
So Kenzie's mom asks Kenzie to just go upstairs while she talks to the detective, and Kenzie can kind of hear the conversation through the
ventilation.
Right, the ventilation, and she doesn't hear everything, but what she does get is shouldn't have been in a fucking juvenile detention. Understand your feelings, but they felt they couldn't hold a 17-year-old boy with an adult population before his trial. By now, every police officer in the country has an eye out for Sam Lesser, but for your peace of mind. So, I would just like to say, this is kind of a little bit ridiculous. Personally, a man died. Okay, a man was shot and a man died, and it was a home invasion, and I've seen 15-year-olds get sent to adult prisons for less than what Sam did. So this is it irks me. I'm on the mother's side, honestly. He should not have been in juvenile detention.
Look, it's San Francisco, all right? They got different rules over there. Well, needless to say, this also plays into yet another horror trope, which is the escaped lunatic, the escaped maniac killer, breaking out of the prison, breaking out of the mental home, and inexplicably being able to come after and go after the victim or the people that are being hidden.
Not to mention that he also committed other murders aside from the kids, the Locke father. Chances are he not only killed his own uncle, but also uncle's wife or something. So there were 2 dead bodies on that truck. Look, all I'm saying is it's a little unbelievable that he was sent to a juvenile detention to wait his trial. I find that insanely difficult to believe. So that's just one thing I'm just like, no.
Well,
that makes no sense.
They were waiting trial. I don't know what to tell you. But you get sort of this little.
And next page 72,
where you have him making his way to there, which is similar to Cape Fear, which was about a killer who was going after a family after they went to witness protection. You also similar to like Halloween, which was about a killer escaping from prison to go after his family members to kill them. So again, a very common sort of horror trope.
Right, and you have the detective trying to relieve some of the stress of the mom, saying, well, statistically, when these criminals escape, they're caught within like 23 hours, they don't get far, they usually don't come after the same victim twice, so he doesn't know what you are.
We'll put a police there at your door, and he'll watch it. Always gotta get it all out of the way there.
Right. So and then you have page 75 where the detective has left, and Kenzie comes down and is like, Mom, and Mom says, oh, so how much of that did you hear? She said a lot, and then she just like hugs her. Kind of a little disturbing that she just hugs her daughter with like a huge gigantic alcoholic bottle.
There's your Stephen King trope again.
Come on, sweetie. Let me just drink this right here. Okay, I love you, baby. Okay.
I got my family right here. You, Kinsey and Merlot.
And then you cut to the police officer outside, stationed outside, I guess, to just like watch over the house, make sure no one gets in. Kenzie's scared. The mom said, don't be scared. I have a gun that, I bought a gun and it will protect us. Kenzie's like, well, didn't Dad not like guns? Wasn't he afraid that Bodhi was gonna probably touch it and get hurt? She's like, no, it's fine. I'll keep it next to my bedside. Only you and your older brother know about it. It's fine. He'll be fine. And she says she's still really scared. And then she mentions, she says, Mutuka is some kind of African name, I guess. And then the mom says, yeah, the detective told me that it means born at night. And then Kenzie has this look of realization like, oh my goodness, Bodhi, that's what Bodhi said when he woke up. Maybe he did, like, hear about it. Because they were in the same location, so there's no way he could have just overheard it. Because she was there and she didn't hear the conversation. But Bodhi heard the conversation. So maybe she's slowly starting to believe him a little bit.
And then we cut again to Kinsey sort of going through the motions again through her day, just trying to not be noticed.
Yep.
Especially now that she knows there's a killer on the loose that's after them. So now she's not just trying to blend in to not get noticed, but she's trying to blend in to hide. Right.
And then she reiterates what she said at the beginning of the issue. It was safer on the roof. It made sense. It was easier. This is the same. It's just all about survival. High school is all about survival. And then the next page, page 78, something happens. What happens?
She throws up.
Yes, she smells the scent of fresh paint. And just like has to hurl, and she goes to the nearest window and just barfs her guts out. Now, why would that be?
Well, you know why.
I know why, but tell us why.
Well, obviously she's got some kind of a association now with wet paint and the death of her dad.
Ugh, this poor young lady. See, that's what I'm saying.
And it's not even just any old paint, it's the same white paint.
It's white paint, yeah. And this is what I'm talking about. It's all of these kids, everything that they're doing to quote unquote deal with it, even her with her running, it's not enough. It's just not healthy. They need more than just running or working yourself to exhaustion or whatever they think Bodhi is doing. Apparently everyone just thinks Bodhi has escaped into imagination land, and that's how he's dealing with it. It's all unhealthy.
Maybe. I don't know.
It is. Look at that. Just the smell of paint throws her into a barfing frenzy. That's not healthy.
I don't know. It could have happened to anybody.
But she throws up and the gym teacher catches her and she says, I'm sorry, Coach Whedon. I really don't like the smell of fresh paint. She says, you want water? Take the taste out of your mouth. And like the teacher gives her some water, explains to her that like the teacher says, you know, don't be so hard on yourself, give yourself a break, you've been through hell, you're a survivor, and you just gotta understand that and you'll be better. And then the teacher notices her bracelet. It's like, hey, you know, what's that all about? Page 80, she says, Otis, my father gave me this bracelet. So it's a bracelet that's connected to her father, and there's like a symbol of a key on it. And she says, yeah, he said it was like a reminder. Believing in yourself is the key to being a complete person. And then Kenzie leaves, and then the coach grabs a book from the bookshelf. This is at the school library, I think, or the principal's office.
Yeah, I think this is in Coach Whedon's office.
Right, her office. She grabs a book, opens it up, and it opens to this picture of her father as a teenager, and you see the same bracelet that he's wearing on his side while grabbing onto this a very attractive blonde lady, which we can all be certain is not her mom. It's not Kenzie's mom. And you see a whole bunch of other people in this picture as well.
Especially one certain person who looks suspiciously similar to a lady in a well.
Exactly. And then in the next page, Kenzie talks yet again about how she saw an image of herself in the mirror and it freaked her out, and how she's just so fed up with just being scared of everything and being scared that the next person that she talks to could be Sam, and how it's okay for her to be scared of everything, but it sucks for her to be scared of herself. So then we get to the house of the girl that she met at the track, who asked her if she could go running with her on Saturday. And then the final page of the issue shows Kenzie at the door of this young lady saying, "Hey, you want to go for a run?" But with a few changes. She cut her hair. It has a little bit of a braid on the side and piercings, and she looks a little bit more like her natural Kenzie self. And that's the end of the issue.
All right. Very nice. So, again, now you wanted to maybe talk about the ghost key, since now it's been featured.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about the ghost key. The ghost key is actually the cover for volume 1.
And the cover for the first issue,
right,
of the first volume. Yes.
First of all, its design is really nice. It has the skull up here, and
at the base of the key.
At the base of it, and then you said it has like this little symbol right here.
Yeah, it's a Egyptian symbol called the Ankh, which can mean like resurrection or life, or like sort of spiritual life, maybe.
So this is the first. I'm going to assume this is the only key so far that we've actually seen be featured properly. Properly.
I guess technically.
Yes. And it's a very interesting key.
Well, I guess it's I guess not too complicated as opposed to some of the later keys that are very complicated, especially my favorite one.
Which one?
Obviously, the coolest one.
Which one?
The one featured on the second cover.
I don't know what's featured on the second cover.
The head key.
Oh!
Because the head key has a lot of rules with how it works and what it does.
Right, and yet there's still so many things about the head key that's like unexplained that you just have to like guess. Well, I guess the head key is insanely complicated
compared to like all the other ones, which just do the one gimmick and they're done. They're very straightforward. They do like one thing and They don't really. There's not a lot of like fiddling or manipulation with how those keys work or don't work.
Right, and also ghost key, I think it only works with that one door.
Yeah.
So we've never. I would just like to drop this right here. I believe that the ghost key can be used in other doors, but I believe that Bodhi believes that it can only be used in this one door because he's only used it in this one door. That is my personal belief.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know.
I have a feeling that we're probably going to be seeing the ghost key be used in other doors aside from this one particular door. Because it's just, it doesn't make sense to me that this key is just connected to just this one door. It just doesn't fit for me personally. So then we get to the part where we talk about what worked and what didn't work in this issue. As always, you can go first.
Oh, as always? Okay. Well, as far as what works, I thought focusing on Kinsey a lot was of course a nice change of pace. We followed Bodhi first, and then we now followed Kinsey. And then I think probably the next issue focuses on Ty, I guess.
I think so.
Yeah, so you give a little introduction to each character, and then that sort of, I guess, rounds out your major first arc. The introducing the players, sort of. While at the same time, we still get just a tiny bit of of plot progression with Sam. You know, he's still present. He's still a threat. Mm-hmm. He's slowly making his way back.
He's out there lurking in the woods.
Yeah, they're you're seeing that both sides are moving their pieces. The Sam side is moving with intent, and the Locke family's pieces are moving sort of by accident.
Mm-hmm. So what didn't work?
What didn't work? I think there was a little too much emphasis on the multi-panel sort of repetition for effect. I think like maybe he used it a little too much in some of these. Yeah. I can count about like there's at least like three.
There's about 3, maybe even 4.
Yeah, those instances and especially like maybe page 70. I thought maybe page 70 could have. I don't know what you would have done, but maybe could have done something.
Yeah,
not even 70.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 times. Yeah, I agree. Now that you've mentioned it, it is a bit too much. It made it feel less. It made it feel like there was less story because a good chunk of it was just those like still panels with just like 1 or 2 things changing in the background. So yeah.
And then even maybe this kind of montage right here. Yeah, there's like a few of these little montages all through here. But, you do get a neat little bit of background stuff. And also, Kinsey's bracelet gives us a neat little foreshadowing to...
Foreshadow!
Not even just a foreshadow. It's a foreshadow, a second foreshadowing of a key that was referenced from the previous issue.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I know what that's supposed to be. I'll tell you after the podcast because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But as for me, what worked for me is honestly just Kenzie. Like the development with her is incredible, and her sense of self. She has a deep sense of self, and just having to change herself and hide and having to blend in gives her this like shock to the point where even her own reflection scares her because she just doesn't know who that person is. And I love how you get like these little hints of the trauma of what they experienced showing itself, and not just like, oh, I'm so sad, but like, oh my goodness, the smell of paint just like disturbs me to the point where I had to throw up. And there's like those little hints of trauma. I love that, and I love that they're showing it, and I think we see a bit more of it in issue number 5. But yeah, I liked that. I really, really, really like Kenzie, and she really shined in this issue. What didn't work for me, I would say, is the mother. Yet again, my complaint, I want more of the adults. I want more of the mother, and I just...
No, you're not really gonna get that, I don't think.
She bought a gun. She went against one of her husband's wishes, and she brought a gun into the house. And she even told her kids, it's like, I got a gun. If you ever feel like you have a problem, there's a gun right there. Because there's a girl with a gun, and she's saying all this while you can definitely be sure that she is drunk. She is drunk, and she's saying all of this while she's drunk, and she has a gun in the house while she's constantly drinking.
Stephen King trope.
I want to know. I want to just like crack open her head and just get all that information. But I understand the story is mostly about the kids, so we're not going to get much of the adults, and unfortunately, that's always going to be a negative in my eyes.
And again, another Stephen King trope where usually the kids are if the kids are the focus, that's because there's some, like, the adults are not effective. Right. Like in It, the adults were not effective. Mm-hmm. The Shining, the adults were not effective. They were the problem, and so on. And then also, it's interesting that, of course, Kinsey and the mom are worried about Bodhi getting a hold of the gun because of how dangerous it is.
Yeah.
And the fact that Bodhi has and is using probably the most dangerous things in the house. And, you know, that just goes to show that, you know, you can't ever keep kids away from dangerous things. Yes. The only thing you can do is to try and educate and trust and spend time with them. So that's a interesting kind of note there. The other thing is maybe, like, I don't know, it looked like maybe he was trying to do something with you know, the whole Sam and Kinsey, and how, you know, it was intentionally cutting between the two of them, and they used kind of that mirror as a sort of transitioning, like, you know, oh, she's looking in a mirror of herself, and then we cut to you know, Sam, who's using a mirror. And I thought maybe they could have done something with kind of this sort of duality, because again, mirrors are a duality. They're you know, another you, and I thought maybe there could have been something there, but I think maybe it just came out as, oh, let's do a cute little transition here to Sam to sort of keep that plot point relevant. And
I know we get more information on Sam in later issues, but as is, I'm not feeling anything from him, like character-wise, personality-wise, likable or unlikable quality.
I would say he's very unlikable. I think when you kill someone and then you try to murder everyone else, I think that makes you unlikable.
Currently, he's just coming off as like, I'm evil. I'm a killer.
Well, yeah.
Like,
it's awesome.
Comical villain.
Yeah,
that's
that's
all
awesome.
I'm getting.
That's awesome. I love that.
But in this story full of just so many complex and interesting characters,
he gets it later. He gets them later, but it's like you don't. But the problem is that, you know, once you start explaining and giving him a personality and a background, it kind of takes the piss out of him as a villain. And then if you... Okay,
so I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. So I know he's a villain, but currently I'm just like, I'm getting more of just like a comical, like mustache twirling villain vibe. I'm not getting like, oh my gosh, you're so evil, you're detestable, I hate you type of villain. You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
Because obviously we're going to get more of him as the series goes on, and there's probably going to be more explanation of him and his character and yada yada yada. But just like as it is, it's just like, oh, he's the bad guy. That's all. It's just it feels so empty. Well, because bland. It feels bland.
He's sort of the mid-tier villain. He's sort of the, you know, you gotta go through him to get to the lady who's the true villain.
I understand that.
So, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
It feels too bland, especially considering the fact that we don't get to the mid-tier villain for a good while.
Well, you gotta save it. You can't go too soon.
Yes, but while we're stuck with Sam, I want him to be more than just the bland villain, because that's all he is. He's just vanilla evil bad guy. You know?
I also think that, you know, I kind of like what happens to him later, and then he you kind of feel this other way about him. And, you know, I think that's kind of like this sort of, well, you had it coming, and then it's also kind of like...
You had it coming.
You
think so?
I don't know. It's neat. It's... Again, you know, you gotta...
When we get there then.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so then we move on to, will you continue into the next issue?
Well, yeah, you gotta find out what's going on with Sam, and, you know, what's gonna happen with that ultimate reunion. And then you also got that bracelet. Yep. What's up with that bracelet?
What's going on with that bracelet, yo?
What's going on with her dad? And
what's with the hot blonde that her dad is like really sweet on?
That's not my mom.
That's not your wife.
That is not my beautiful wife, and that is not my beautiful house.
Like, what happened to her?
And then, of course, the picture also focuses on Shakespeare's The Tempest being the play that they're all posing for, which The Tempest is about this sort of great tragedy that happened years ago. That is then that the characters are then having to revisit and sort of right the wrongs of from the past, which gives a little bit of a foreshadowing to kind of what happens there.
All right, then. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us for this the third installment of our Lock and Key podcast.
Also letting you know right now, for those of you that are trying to follow along, currently on Amazon, if you have a Amazon Prime account, you can download the first volume of Lock and Key for free on your Kindle devices or Kindle apps, wherever you have that. Maybe I have that at, or tablet reader device. And also too, because we're never gonna get much updates with this series, so might as well. There has been a new spin-off issue for Lock and Key that is digital only available. So,
and the art looks incredible.
Well, it should. It's the same people. So we'll maybe review and go over that
eventually.
Maybe
after we finish the whole series.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is Matt,
and this is Cindy Plummer.
Mm-hmm. And we'll keep the key under the mat for you to come in and see us next time.